Hi everyone, or should I say bonjour, because I'm in France. Now, what am I doing in France? I did make a note on the last video that I haven't really been able to make any videos just lately, and I'd explain the reason why in the next one, so I'll explain now. We have a house in France. We've not managed to visit it for 18 months, obviously because of COVID. And it's a pretty big house. It has 2¼ acres of land, so you can imagine what it was like. It was actually a pleasant surprise because our neighbour, Baptiste, who's a farmer, young guy, I think he's about 25, he'd been looking after things for us, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been. However, it's still taken us 3 hard weeks of work. But we're just about finished, so I'm getting out for a ride and to make a bit of video. Behind me here, you can see the Forest de Boiry. I'm going to take you in the forest shortly because there's a rather splendid dolmen in there. So dolmen is a megalithic structure from the Neolithic period. It's a burial mound, they think, although apparently they've never found bodies in them, but they found them nearby. So it's still a bit of a mystery, but it's a 7,000-year-old structure of granite, and I'll take you down there to have a look. Now, the only problem today is I'm on my Fuji, which is my first ever road bike. I love riding this bike, I'll never get rid of it, but it's on road tyres. But had I been on the gravel bike, I could have gone all the way to my house on this track. We might hear some of the bird life around here. I heard this morning a hoopoe, which is the first one I've heard this year. Get a lot of them in this area. The other thing we get, and I think it's a bit early, but we do get the golden oriole, which is a beautiful haunting fluting sound, but I don't think we'll hear those. Perhaps later in the year when we come back. Apart from the garden work, we had quite a bit of work to do indoors, which is just as well. Although it was nice for a couple of days, things changed. I'm really pleased we managed to get a couple of days on the garden when we got here, because this is what turned up 4 days later. Well, there's one thing for sure, we're not cycling today. And this is southern France for you, quite unexpected. And then last night we had these extremely strong winds with severe gusts, and this happened. 2 of the fruit trees down. That's a plum, and that's a plum. And that you can hear is a little owl. I think it's one of the only owls that hunts in the daytime. Can't see it. But yeah, lots of clearing up to do. Although it's a nice sunny day here, it's a bit nippy this morning. I put shorts on today for the first time this year. I probably should have put a long sleeve top on, but never mind. You can see I have a fairly basic cockpit today. I don't really need the running light and don't need the traffic camera because drivers here are pretty good. Give you lots of room. Bonjour, monsieur. I think that's a nightingale. I'm going to stop and show you something very, very rare in France. So I'll creep up quietly. And there it is, a pothole. You won't see many of those in France. And this is just a small road to a farm. Bonne journée.
Merci, vous aussi.
Bonjour, mouton.
Oui.
Come on, keep up. So you can see the track's getting a bit rougher now. We'll see how far we can go. Oh, there's a nice deer, look. Just sprung out of the hedgerow. Gonna run across the road. That was a nice little bonus. Sunday morning is traditionally a hunting time here in this area, so don't want to get caught up with the hunters. Now it looks like we're not going to get very far because I think a tree has come down over the trail. In those high winds, I would imagine. But yeah, there's a pretty big tree uprooted there. Not really going to get round it. Oh, we'll just stop for a moment and listen to that cuckoo. No, 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 no. Aha. Well, I was a bit worried about coming this way because those dogs are usually very aggressive. And you know how dogs love cyclists and they chase us. Well, today I saw the farmer as I came in and I said, "Oh, the dog's a problem." He said, "No, because they're fenced in." Now, I don't know if things have changed in France, but dogs were always a bit of a problem for me, running all over the place, running out in the road, chasing me. But it seems now that they're keeping them fenced in, so maybe there's a bit of a rule change. But anyway, that's good. So we're now on the other end of the road that you saw blocked by a tree, It's not a bad road. You can come down here in a car, okay. In fact, that was my fallback option. If the dogs were loose, I was going to hop in the car, but fortunately we can do it the proper way and do it by bike. They wanted to tear down part of this ancient forest to put some wind turbines in it. Well, it didn't seem such a good idea, because I would have thought the surrounding trees would have caused a problem with the wind. And surely there are many, many more open places we could put wind turbines without tearing down an old forest. So far they haven't done it, so let's hope they don't. So here we are. This is the turning for the dolmen. And there it is, look. Isn't it magnificent? Let's go and have a look inside. I mean, there's not a lot to see. Let's hope this rock doesn't decide it's the point it should drop after 7,000 years with me in it. Now, if it was a burial chamber and they've never ever found any evidence of bodies in them, I wonder if maybe they put the bodies here after they died, maybe came back later and removed the bones. So there we go, we got here in the end. It's a great place for a gravel bike around here, because all these tracks are accessible and nobody seems to mind you using them. I mean, this one is actually a proper footpath route, I think. But I've never had anybody complain, tell me to get off my land. What I'd normally have to do on this route on the way back is build up some speed and race past the dogs, because they'd be lying in wait to ambush me on my way back. But fortunately today, as we saw, they're shut in. Let's hope they're still shut in. Oh, they're here waiting for me. Makes me feel kind of smug when they're locked in. Now, we've got a couple of big Alsatians up here that normally charge out into the road. I'm hoping their owner got the memo about keeping your dogs inside. They look to me like they could easily get out of there. Bonjour. Ooh, got away with that one as well. That was a woodpecker hammering away. probably on that dead tree over there. Quite a few years ago now, I was coming back from a long ride. I think I'd done about 80 miles. I was getting tired and I came to this large village just before we get to my village, and there were a lot of people here in the square, and I thought, well, maybe it's one of the normal fetes that they have here. But I did notice a few people on bicycles. As I said, I was tired, so I decided I wouldn't hang around and I carried on towards home. I then noticed that there were quite a few people around in orange vests blocking off the various junctions. And as I got down towards this next junction, there was a small crowd of people. And they were shouting "Allez" and clapping as I went by. So I thought, well, I better put a spurt of speed on, I've got an audience. And then in all the gateways, there were people clapping, shouting, but I carried on regardless. It was just as I came to this slight downhill section that a peloton of about 40 riders shot by me. And by shot by me, I mean shot by me. It was as if I was standing still. I then realised I'd inadvertently found myself in a cycle race. Now, the French often have cycle races in villages and they'll just close the roads, which is what they'd done here. But I'm guessing they thought I was a competitor, so I was allowed on my way. All was going well until we got to this point, and the road ahead of me was closed. More people in orange vests, obviously marshals, and also a group of people cheering and waving. But I didn't want to go left, which is where the race had obviously gone. I wanted to go straight on and get home, and they wouldn't let me. As I got closer to them and pointed ahead, they said no, 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 and pointed this way. So I didn't know what to do. In the heat of the moment, I just shouted at them, "Je suis privé," which I assumed meant I'm private. It wasn't the best thing to say, but it's all I could think of in the heat of the moment. Anyway, whatever it meant, they let me through. There were big smiles, a few more cheers, and I was out of the race. So that was how I inadvertently found myself in a race. It then dawned on me that the people enthusiastically cheering with me ahead of the peloton, they probably thought I was a breakaway. So all in all, it's given me a good story to tell, if not a little embarrassing. The frogs are in fine voice. This is where the hunting dogs live. Usually get a cacophony of barking when we go by here. So wait for it. Yeah, here we go. Don't know if you can see up on the hill there, that's the hamlet we're in. So soon be home. Not a long ride today because we have our friend Bill coming for lunch today, so got to get back. But today was beautiful, great weather, just nice to have a little wander around, no plan, just enjoy the beautiful French countryside. I have to say, France is one of the best countries I know for cycling. People have respect for you, motorists particularly. Some of the main roads it's a bit crazy. The French generally are very respectful. For now I'll say goodbye and talk to you soon, hopefully. But thanks for joining me. Au revoir.